Hi everyone and welcome back. Now that we have defined the data layer, what it is and how it works, now let's dive into Google Tag Manager variables. So what are GTM variables? They are a piece of information that is collected from the data layer that is implemented on your website or is pulled automatically via the Google Tag Manager built-in variables. Let's start with the Google Tag Manager built-in variables. I'll need you to go to your Google Tag Manager container, hit Variables, then hit Configure under the built-in variables section. Any variable that we find in this section is built in by Google. Any variable that is selected is being used in Google Tag Manager container. When you first create your Google Tag Manager container, you'll need to enable as much as you'd like from these, or simply enable the ones that you prefer. So if you remember, at the very start of this course, we have enabled some variables. Now let's enable some of these as well. Hit the preview mode, and let's go to a product page and click on the Add to Cart. Let's go back to the Google Tag Manager preview mode. As you can see here, this is the click that we have just clicked. When you click on this one, go to Variables to see what type of variables that happened throughout this click event. We have enabled one of the variables that is called click text. And as you can see, the type is auto event variable because this feature is enabled, or this variable is enabled automatically by Google Tag Manager. And that variable is able to pull the text directly that happens within the click. And if you noticed, the click that we have done over here had the add to cart text. Any variable under the built-in variables section that you have configured will work automatically without the need of manually doing or installing anything. But let's assume the following. Let's say that we want to store the product price value each time a user adds a specific product to the shopping cart, meaning that this product price or product value would be different based on the product that the end user will add to the shopping cart. We wouldn't be able to do that using the built-in variables. So here comes the custom variables. This is the preferred name that I like to call them, or the user-defined variables. We can do this by simply clicking on the New button beside the user-defined variables, and then clicking on this space, then search here for data layer variable, which is this one. As you can see, once we select that option, it will ask us to add the data layer variable name. And we can easily get that from the website by using the data layer Chrome extension. Go to the website, then perform a specific action. So let's add this product to the shopping cart, because this is when we want to capture the product price. When you click on the data layer Chrome extension, we can see that we have here the data layer event that Aluvar is pushing to the website. When we click on it, we will see this value, which will have the price. But how can we pull that value or that the variable from this data layer from this format? If you scrolled a bit up and then click on this flat icon, you will get something that is called key and then a value. So a key in Google Tag Manager means the key, basically. So for example, if you want to get this value, you would need to enter this key. So let's scroll a little bit to the bottom, and then you will see this value. Let's copy this key by simply clicking on the copy key. Go back to Google Tag Manager and paste it as is. Don't add any spacing or anything. This needs to be used as is. Now let's name this variable. I like to use a naming convention of DLV, stands for data layer variable, and then add to the cart, because the value exists when a user adds to the cart. Then I will add price because it's the product price, and hit save. Now let's preview the GTM workspace to see if the changes are working as expected or not. Once we land on the preview mode, let's hit continue and go to the website. Go to any product page. It doesn't need to be the same product that we were visiting, and then hit add to cart. Let's go back to the preview mode and then notice something. So any data layer event will come with the event name. So if we go back, click on the data layer Chrome extension, we can see the same thing. So DL add to cart, this value comes from the event parameter. So you can call this the data layer event name. Go back to the preview mode and then hit the TL add to cart, because this is when the variable would pull the data from this data layer event and store it inside the variable. Once you hit the DL add to cart, click on variable. And now let's see our custom data layer variable. So as you can see here, there is DLV add to cart price, and the type is data layer variable. And as you can see, this is the value that we have in the variable stored. Let's go back to the website to make sure that it matches what's on the product, and it matches. This is how you can create your first Google Tag Manager variable. There is some other types that you can also explore, but I don't think that you'll need to use all of them. Mainly, you'll need to use the one that we have just discussed, but in the future, I'm sure that you'll be able to learn the rest. And if you ever wanted any guidance or have questions regarding any one of these, just let me know, but they should be way easier than the data layer variable. When you click on any data layer event from Google Tag Manager preview mode, under the API call, you can expand this call and you'll see something similar to what we had in the data layer Chrome extension. If you're interested to know how we were able to pull that value and how and from where is that value is coming from when we previewed the flat version and copied this one. If you want to know from where this key came from, you can simply copy this key, come here and press Command F and paste it. And let's see what does it include from the last to beginning. So the last piece of it is price, which is what we have here. And then we can see this curly bracket. This curly bracket means that this is an array. An array is something specific that you can find within it a specific piece of information. For example, if I'm at a collection and our development team added several products to the collection data layer event, what we will notice that is different over here is that the products array will look like this, but another array would be opened over here for the other product, and so on, because the collection will have several products, and Google Analytics, for example, will need to have that information. Since this one is the first array, it will take the value as 0, because programming languages, the counting starts from 0, not from 1. So that's why we have the 0. Then we add another dot and see what we have above it, which is products. This is why it is added over here. And we're gonna skipping the action field value because it lives at the same level of products. We'll take the higher values only, the one that are on the left-hand side. So higher than that, we will see the add wording, and then lastly, or not lastly, so the currency code, we will not take this one as it is at the same level. So we're gonna look it up, we'll see e-commerce. And this is the first thing that we have and the last thing to explain for that variable. We will not take anything that is in the same level of the same parameter, and the data layer dot push wording will not be used. So this means that this is the last value that we can use for creating the data layer event. You can also copy the whole data layer event, so copy the whole thing, and then using any AI tools like ChatGPT, which is my personal favorite, you can go to that AI tool and then ask it to help you creating a data layer variable. So for example, I just said like, I want to build the data layer variable that pulls the add to cart price. Here is the data layer I have, and I pasted the data layer that we have just copied. and then hit. And what we will notice over here is that it will instruct us to go to Google Tag Manager and visit the variables section, and then use the same variable structure that we have used that was shown in the data layer checker, and also the one that we have explained. And yeah, that's pretty much it.